Hi, my name is Jay. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss lactose intolerance and what I'm doing about it. If you found this video, you either are a subscriber or you have been looking for information about lactose intolerance and what you could do about it. And if you're the former, you probably may not even care about this video, so I don't blame you if you don't just switch off, because we're going to be talking about stomach problems quite a bit. But if you are here because you search for lactose intolerance in general, I will go over all the information regarding why it happens, what percentage of people get it, things like that, as well as things I have done to try to get it so I can consume lactose products without an upset stomach. And I know some of you will say, of course, don't drink dairy at all, but it's a huge staple in most people in the world's diet. And milk is delicious, cheese is delicious, pizza is delicious, and it's just not the same with like the vegan cheeses. The texture, taste is just not there yet. This is for people who want to consume dairy but just can't right now, or just can't anymore because they've just gotten older. Now, first off, lactose intolerance in general is not an allergy to milk or milk products. That's a completely different thing in its own and has a different set of symptoms. It could be overlapping symptoms, but that's just a totally different thing and caused by different problems. So we won't go over that at all. But lactose intolerance is basically your body not being able to tolerate lactose, right? I'm using the same words to define a set of words, but the story is milk products have lactose in it. And when you're a baby, most babies, I guess if you're premature, you may not be able to produce these enzymes, so you may not be able to consume milk, or there could be a variety of problems that could cause it. But most babies and children produce enough lactase. It's an enzyme that helps break down the lactose into galactose and glucose. And then your body could absorb that and everything is hunky-dory. So what happens to people when their body no longer produces lactase, that enzyme you need, the lactose molecule goes into the digestive system, and what happens is it can't be broken down. So it just goes through the intestines, and actually the intestines will absorb water to dilute the percentage there. So your intestines start becoming full of water, and then eventually the lactose molecules get into the colon area, and the bacteria there will actually ferment it into a fatty acid and gas. Those are the byproducts. So you wind up with extra fluids and a lot of gas. Nothing comfortable at all. So at this point, the overall symptoms are just going to be gas, bloating from the extra fluids and the gas. Of course, there's going to be diarrhea, and it just overall discomfort. It could cause cramping. In some cases, it just kind of causes a nausea a little bit. So it's just not the most fun to do, especially if you enjoy outdoor activities and you plan to be outdoors and away from modern society's benefits for a long period of time, like backpacking. If you enjoy digging cat holes every few minutes, you could drink milk all you want if you are lactose intolerant, but again, that's just not going to be a fun time. And this will happen to anybody whose body has either started to reduce how much lactase it produces or completely stop producing it at all. And because there's a huge variety, people can take in a variety of levels of lactose. Like some people can take in, I guess, 12 grams of lactose per meal. And 12 grams is like a little less than half an ounce. And that's roughly 1 cup of milk. They can have a 1 cup of milk can have 11 to 13 grams of lactose. Me, 1 cup of milk would do me in. That's no good. And also, if you just drink straight milk, that's 12 grams, but it's by itself. Oftentimes, people can consume lactose with other products, like on a pizza, and it helps kind of spread it out so it doesn't cause much of a problem. Some people, however, can only take about 3 grams of lactose per sitting, which is a tiny amount when you consider that a cup of yogurt has more grams of lactose than 3 grams. So even a cup of yogurt will give you an upset stomach, especially again if it's just that and nothing extra with it. Cheeses have a huge variety. So soft cheeses have much more than hard cheeses. Like, I guess cheddar is supposed to have low amounts, although I know if I eat creamy cheddar, it really does bother me. If I eat really dry cheddar, it seems to be okay, and only a small amount. But mozzarella is supposed to have less in one article, but one article said it has more. But I guess fresh mozzarella has more lactose than aged mozzarella. It's just a huge variety. Generally, the older and harder cheeses have less lactose than the fresher, creamier types. So the level of lactose intolerance is actually largely genetic. Certain races of people have actually evolved and kept continuing to create lactase into adulthood because dairy products was such a staple in their diet. Mostly Europeans and certain other areas, but here's a map of what areas have more lactose intolerant people than others, and you'll see northwestern Europe is by far has the least amount of lactose intolerant people, because sometimes it just does happen. And you'll see like Asia, those countries have far less. And right now I'm in Germany, which according to this chart, Germany has, I think it was 17% lactose intolerant people, which is actually good for European countries. It seems like Denmark, Norway, United Kingdom have the least amount. And this is older data, and you'll see all the way at the very bottom, I'm from a country where they have 100% lactose intolerant people. I'm actually still surprised. I'm watching some Korean shows and they're still selling dairy products all the time, but maybe they have lactose-free types just to help. But there are ways to help alleviate the symptoms, and I guess one of the popular ways is to just have a little bit at a time, and you continue to eat it with some yogurt, some probiotic yogurt, and it helps kind of have your body produce enough lactase to not cause a lot of problems, as long as you don't consume too much lactose at once, in which case you won't be able to process it. So you'd have to eat just a little at a time. You'll see in the USA, they actually have 36% intolerance, which isn't too bad, but that also means 36% of the people have the problem to at least some degree. And right now I am in Germany, where 16% of the population, only 16, are lactose intolerant. And oddly enough, they sell a huge variety of lactose-free items. In fact, in the States, I found milk to be common. You can usually get that. These days, especially more and more. For a while, it was just one brand, but it's spreading out. And you could see sometimes, you can see like cottage cheese, maybe yogurt. Very few times yogurt. I don't think I've seen it in a long time. Cheeses, sometimes. Like the Cabot brand is lactose-free. But by and large, there's not much at all. But here in Germany, we have huge racks. There's a whole company that makes most of their cheeses are lactose-free. They have lactose-free cream, yogurts, puddings, sour cream type stuff. It's actually quite impressive, really. They have mozzarellas, feta. It's really nice, actually. But my theory is because in the European countries, cheese is such a main staple in their diet. If people are lactose-free, they can't consume the same meals, so they have lactose-free products that will help them enjoy the same foods as everyone else. That's my theory, but I don't know. But in the US, yeah, it's a lot harder to find. Interesting fact, lactose-free milk actually tastes sweeter than normal milk because they add in the enzyme that breaks down the lactose into galactose and glucose. And of course, those are simpler sugars, so they actually taste a little sweeter. So the big dilemma to me is if you don't know, I often just travel. I am usually in my car or out backpacking. I spent most of 2021 backpacking from Georgia to Maine, about 2,200 miles. When you're backpacking, cheese is such a great food. I'm constantly jealous of all the people who bring a brick of cheese because it's high calorie per weight, tastes good, and you can generally get away with not refrigerating it for 2-3 days before it gets really oily. So it's great to carry around, and it's just overall good. I mean, it has a lot of protein and fats and it's sugars. But overall, I wish I could have eaten more cheese. It seems like a simple thing to decide, just, oh yeah, just throw in a brick of cheese and you could just eat that. But I was always jealous, and always when we go into town, people would have milkshakes, which are also high calorie. It's mostly sugar, but it's high calorie, and it's things you need when you go into town to replenish yourself after hiking nonstop every day. And I could never have a milkshake. I did have one milkshake on the trail though, and I'll tell you about that in a bit. But when I'm hiking with Tina, I actually like it because she'll order a milkshake and I get to taste a sip because I can handle a sip. But if I handle several sips, teetering on the edge of problem level there. On the Pacific Crest Trail, I thru hiked that as well back in 2018. And that goes from Mexico all the way to Canada. It's about 2,700 miles. And there was a place called Julian. There's a pie place called Mom's. I stopped in there and they give away pies a free pie to thru hikers. So I got a pie and they asked if I wanted ice cream on it. So I thought, yeah, it probably tastes really good. So I risked it and they gave me 2 dollops of ice cream on it. And fortunately, there was a restaurant nearby that was letting thru hikers just hang out there and do their laundry and whatnot. Because after that bit of ice cream, it was not a good time. Let's just say I didn't get back on trail for 4 hours after that because I had to make consistent trips to a certain room. I was joking that it's pie a la mode, straight to the commode for people like us. And it's not the most fun. Sometimes it's worth it for how good the ice cream is, because ice cream is delicious. But most of the time it's not. And that led me to a 4-hour delay there. So once I got out of town, I actually slept under an underpass. I didn't hike at all that day. So crazy day. I've tried lactase pills. They sell little pills basically, and they have lactase enzyme. And if you take one before you eat dairy and you take one during, it's different per product, and some pills are stronger than the others. And here in Germany, they actually have a wide range of strengths, so you can actually buy the strongest, but it costs way more than the weakest, and that's the problem. So in Germany, there's a 22,000 parts per million lactase pill, but it costs 14 euros for a little bottle of it. It's quite expensive. The weaker ones, of course, are way cheaper, but I found I need this stronger dosage to clear everything. If you take just what you may need, you may encounter problems, but if you take way more than you need, you may alleviate those problems and keep ahead of it. So it's always kind of safer to take more than less, at least for me. But I found that they work sometimes, but sometimes they don't work as well, so it's not as reliable. So I don't depend on them, especially if I'm gonna go off walking around for 8 hours a day. I do not want to depend on them at all. Not to mention the fact that you're going to be taking them every time you consume dairy. So if you had a block of cheese with you every meal, you're going to have to take some. There is one product I have found to work though, and it's actually quite amazing. I saw it advertised on Amazon and I thought, that's too good to be true, because supposedly you take these pills for 7 days and then you wait a week or two and then you can consume dairy like a normal person, I guess. But you could do that for up to 3 months. So usually like 2 months of solid functioning. And I thought, no way, that's too good to be true. There's no way. I mean, how can it possibly work? So I purchased it just as a test because I love testing things. So back in 2021, I purchased it and I tried it out, but I never pushed its limits. I never really tested what I can eat. So at the time it seemed good, but I wasn't overly excited about it. But I told my sister about it and she tried it, and she tried it just before her trip to Orlando with her family, and she said it worked great. You just have to plan it out because you have to take it for a week and wait a couple of weeks before it's 100%. So you need a 3-week window before the trip. And it worked great for her. So she recommended it to one of her friends who is Greek, and then she was going to go to Greece back home for a while for vacation. So unfortunately, she developed lactose intolerance when she got older. So she took the pills, and then she said it worked great as well, because once you're back in European countries, it's nice not to have to worry about is that cream based? Is that cheese based? And you can just eat whatever you want. All the things you used to eat when you were growing up, and it's still fine. So yeah, almost sounds too good to be true, right? So the product in question, now I just want to make clear, I bought this with my own money every time I've used it. And I'm not sponsored by them. They don't know me at all. I think it's a small company, but it's called Lacto-Freedom. I don't know if you've seen advertisements for it on Amazon, or maybe you haven't, but supposedly it's full of probiotics. I forget the probiotic term. It's like blah, 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 acidophilus or something. But these bacteria basically will go into your small intestines and basically multiply, and they break down lactose into the two other products. So that basically breaks down the lactose, and that's what you really want. And the big thing with these pills though is it comes in 21 pills per bottle, and you have to take 3 a day for 7 consecutive days. And you have to take them, they say, 2 hours after a meal or 1 hour before a meal. And you have to do it on an empty stomach because they want the bacteria in there by itself so it can kind of go through and not get just flushed out by food. So it kind of spends more time in the intestines as it goes. So it says or, but I always try to stick with the and. So always 2 hours after a meal and 1 hour before. So that way I figured that would maximize how well that functions. And I did that for 7 days this time around. And this time around, I gotta say, like, I felt like Superman. We were visiting one of Tina's friends. I had a latte on the way there in the train station, no problem. I got there, had more coffee, had cream puffs, cheese, like creamy cheese too. And then the next day, we went to another one of her friends, had more coffee with regular milk, a hot chocolate on the train ride back home. Just doing whatever I wanted. And I felt like Superman. Like nothing was bothering me, which is amazing. Like, I don't know, most of the people in the United States and pretty much most of the people in Europe here, that's no big deal. But for me, I was pretty amazed. So for me, I think it works out really well. I did try to take these before the Appalachian Trail. Before I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail, I tried to get it finished about a week before. And the big downside was I forgot that my choice of water treatment to purify the water was basically bleach. It was aqua mira, and it turned into a like chlorine dioxide, but it's basically bleach. And then that probably killed off a lot of the gut bacteria in the beginning part of the intestines. So unfortunately, I think I reduced its effectiveness, but I will say about 50 days in, I was at a hostel known for their milkshakes. So I thought, yeah, there's a bathroom here. Yeah, sure, I'll take one. And I had no problems at all, which is amazing. Amazing. It was a month and a half after it took effect, and I had no problems at all. And I was super happy about that. I didn't really push it too hard. I did have some pizzas, no problems as well, but I didn't push it super hard because I was worried drinking all that bleach water just killed everything. But this time around, I'm okay. I'm not going crazy. And I'm even thinking of, because the probiotics, they consume lactose, I'm thinking of deliberately consuming lactose every now and then just to kind of feed it, have it grow. Because here we drink lactose-free milk, and then we have lactose-free cream, lactose-free spinach, lactose-free yogurts. So I try to get those. I'm going to try to feed them a little longer so I can keep them healthy and multiplying. And I guess people introduce that probiotic into some yogurts, and that helps break down the lactose in there as well. It basically breaks down lactose into galactose, glucose, and lactic acid. And I guess people like that to make yogurt. So I'm going to try to get some yogurt, normal yogurt, not lactose-free yogurts, and just have one every few days and try to extend it. If you got this far, you probably are interested in the product or interested in lactose intolerance in general. I'm sure some of you have switched way off and you're not here yet. But I'm just making this video for people that are lactose intolerant or know people that are, and maybe this could help them as well. Because honestly, when I first saw the advertisements on Amazon, I thought it was a scam. Because how can that be? You know, the label's kind of generic looking. It didn't look, it's just like a sticker on a just plastic bottle. But so far, I think 3 out of 3 times I've tried it, it works pretty well. So if you know someone that has it, you can recommend it. However, there are a few instances where you probably shouldn't take it unless you go talk to your doctor first. I guess because the large amount of probiotics in there could be a problem. If you're taking any kind of corticosteroids, any kind of immune suppression medicine, or chemotherapy type medicines, I guess it can cause all kinds of weird problems. So talk to your doctor if you're taking any kind of weird medicines, and then good luck to you. The 7-day process sometimes can be a little annoying. I'd set an alarm for every time I should take it, but sometimes I'll have a snack and I'd be like, oh, I gotta wait another hour, and then and you may forget, but you just try to take 3 a day at least. I try to do it in the morning and not eat breakfast for an hour, take it at night before going to sleep, and sometime midday when you have a 3-hour window when you're not eating, and you could try it out. But yeah, good luck to you. So Lacto-Freedom is the product. I have a link in the description below. It is an Amazon affiliate link, and if you purchase through that, it won't cost you any extra, but I do get a small percentage bonus. So helps this channel out so I can keep going. And for all of you who don't know about lactose intolerance, I got this far, good for you. Good for you. It's not the most exciting topic, but and if you aren't lactose intolerant, good for you, jerk. But yeah, I haven't had ice cream in a long time, so I'm looking forward to having some ice cream. Although I probably should lay off the ice cream because, gaining weight since we're not hiking as much. But yeah, hopefully this helped you or anybody else you know. If you are watching this video because you're interested in the product, but you weren't sure if it's actually functioning or if it's going to work, that's my opinion on it. I think it works well. I still would not drink a whole glass of milk. I think that might be too much for it. I might take a little bit. I don't want to overload it. But it's nice being able to eat cheese because you don't just eat blocks of cheese, you just eat a little bit at a time. And so far, works great. I still have another couple of months of this being effective. And in August, we are actually going to come back here in Sweden and we're going to hike the Kungsleden Trail. And as you'll see, Sweden has one of the lowest numbers of lactose intolerant people. So they just put cream and cheese and everything, right? And it doesn't matter. So I will refresh that cycle before that trip. So when I go there, I don't have to worry as much. Because if they cook something with a little bit of cream, I used to have to worry about that, but then now I won't. And live a carefree life, right? But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If you do attempt to purchase it and give it a try, I hope it works for you. But again, talk to your doctor if you are on any of those medicines I just mentioned, and be careful. But overall, I've had no problems. If someone you know has this problem, you could recommend it to them before a trip or event. And I'm hoping it's just as effective for you all as it has been for me. It does cost $26 about, so it's not the cheapest thing. So it's a little tough. Yeah, I'm not sponsored, but if they can give me a lifetime supply of that stuff, I'd be pretty happy, I think. Because I can spend $26 every 3 months, and then I could just eat dairy. It's pretty cool. Lactose-free products sometimes are a little more expensive than regular products, so it could help in the long term, and I don't have to take lactase pills anymore, so that'd be great. I do take lactase pills with me whenever I travel here because anywhere you go, there's a chance that they're not going to have anything like that, so it's just better to have it and just use it and not having to worry about it. But it's really nice. You take these probiotics, now I don't really have to worry about them. I might still bring them with me. Not sure, probably not. Don't need them anymore. But yeah, thanks for watching, and you all take care. Have a good night, and good luck to you.